Hello and welcome to the Sung's Garage podcast. Sit down, have a drink, and chill out with Sung Kang and me, Alex Harrington, as we catch you up on what's been going on. The Sung's Garage podcast is available on all of your favourite podcast providers, as well as a video version on YouTube. While you're listening, take a look at sungsgarage.com as well for more of the latest news on cars, the Fast and Furious, and Sung himself. Enjoy. So I actually wanted to talk about Fast and Furious because obviously it's been out for quite a while now. What's life been like since the release of Fast 9? How's it changed?
Life? It's the same, Alex. It's just the job, you know? Yeah. I mean, I still have to go wake up and brush my teeth and do my laundry. I have to take out the garbage and stuff, you know? So I gotta go to the grocery store.
You haven't got
it's just nice.
Yeah.
No, you want to do that stuff yourself. I'm a grown man. I can do all that stuff.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it keeps you grounded. But I mean, I think the only thing that's changed is that, you know, the movie's finally out and all that wondering and all the questions, you know, now have been answered. And, you know, there's like, I think the air's been like let out of the room, if you will. Right. And so that's kind of it. I think, you know, the whole release of Fast took such a long time. It wasn't this like, you know, quick Fast and Furious, if you will, you know, like, you know, press tour. It was so slow because it took forever for the movie to come out. We didn't even know if we were going to make it, actually, you know? And then right after we came out, you know, things got shut down again, right? And then it got open again. So this Delta variant is like messing things up. But, you know, I think that's the only thing that's changed is that the movie's over. That's it. You know, other than that, everything's the same, Alex. Yeah. You know, same dude.
So at the end of Fast 9, the end of credit scene was possibly like, you know, it was a crazy thing if people actually waited through the credits. You and Han and his killer, in inverted commas, Deckard Shaw, finally came face to face. What's your take on what's going to happen between your character and Deckard?
I don't have a take because I've yet to speak to the writers yet, or the writer-director, right? Or directors, or the powers that be that are controlling the story. But obviously, you know, from previous movies, those teasers are set up for something exciting to happen, you know, in the next upcoming film. So I'm sure there's going to be some type of Western showdown, you know, between Deckard Shaw and Han, right? But I don't know if it's going to be what people just assume that's going to happen. You know, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. I have no idea, Alex. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know.
Have you got an idea of what you would like to happen? Like, is there a way where? Yeah, I mean, like, is there a direction you want Han to go in? Because I know you talked in another interview about you wanted maybe a future Fast film to be rated R. Is there like some kind of, you know, would you like to turn to like the dark side or?
Oh yeah, I would. Wouldn't it be nice to like show different dimension of the Fast characters? Like, what happens to a man when he loses his purpose in his life? Like, if Giselle was Han's purpose, and that was the light that was keeping him, you know, that was the light that was keeping him going every day. And what happens when that light is gone? You know, and I'm sure there was a time where he went dark, and it would be nice to explore that. You know, and especially you know, with Radar, the action can be a little bit more extreme and stuff. And dude, I mean, come on, everybody loves Statham. I mean, to have an epic like battle with Jason Statham and Han would be dope. Right?
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, it would be good. It would be good. And it'd be nice to see Giselle maybe making a comeback as well. Justice for Giselle. I think that's already, you know, it's already kind of on its way on social media. I can see it every once in a while.
I hope so. I hope that happens because, you know, Gal's just awesome to be around. And, you know, but we understand she's busy saving the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wonder Woman is going from strength to strength, isn't it? It's those films are great. Really, I mean, she's a great actor, and it's nice to see like just some girl power. You know, I mean, Fast and Furious has always been about the women being just as strong, or you know, actually sometimes stronger than the men. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, it's well deserved. She's a Wonder Woman in real life.
Yes.
Gal is.
Yeah, for sure. So, Star Wars, that has been wrapped. Am I right?
Yeah,
How
yeah, I
did
think
that
so.
all go? Because I don't think we've actually talked about Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about it. Actually, I'm not allowed to talk about story or character or
Of
like
course,
what
of course.
the actual like goings on of the film or what my participation is. But I can tell you, Alex, it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my career. I mean, how awesome is it to, in a way, it was full circle where I was, as a kid, I would dress up in the Halloween costumes as a Star Wars character. After school, I would come home and play pretend with my friends, and our imaginations would go there. And what if all these what ifs? What if we could play Luke Skywalker? What if we could be, Darth Vader? And then after all these years, to be in the Star Wars universe, like it's pretty crazy, man. And I have to pinch myself. But most importantly, is the energy on set is amazing. It's like people with like minds that all dreamt the same dreams that I had, that played pretend the same way I did.
Mm.
And for all of us, it was a dream come true to be on a Star Wars set, to be in that universe, right? That's
Yeah,
all I gotta say, man. It was pretty special.
yeah.
So,
Can we talk about you getting told off?
we'll talk about what?
Can we talk about you getting told off for letting random,
Oh yeah,
some information slip?
yeah. I did some press for the F9 director's cut, and it wasn't anyone's fault. I mean, everyone's excited about the show, and there's a lot of fans of Star Wars, and probably shouldn't have said something, but I learned my lesson. I mean, like I wish I could tell everybody everything, and anyone who's a fan feels like a family member because I can see the excitement in their eyes, and I want to share that. Like I don't want to keep it to myself, but it's how it works in Hollywood. You got to
Yeah.
keep the stories, kind of tight lipped before it premieres. So I get it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
I can't talk about it too much.
yeah, yeah. I mean, was production was it altered a bit by the pandemic and stuff like that? Was it slowed down? Because I mean, I'm sure like if people are stuck in this, in a production that's been pushed back or slowed down, I'm sure it's difficult to remember what you can or can't say.
Of course, it's more difficult because there's just more protocol, more testing, just more things you have to be aware of before the camera rolls.
Mm,
And so everything slows down, everything becomes more expensive. But you know, eventually, the thing about art and artists is that great art comes with limitations and obstacles, and it's great when people come together and people, colleagues come together, and my peers
mm.
are, coming together and adapting and being, fluid and figuring it out and making it work. So somehow, it all just works out at the end of the day. I mean, of course, it would be easier to not be on set with masks and go through all the protocols and be tested all the time.
Yeah.
And you wish there was more intimacy in terms of being able to hug people and all that stuff. But
Mm.
it's the way it is. And it's, I think from what I heard, it's like 30% more you have to spend now because of the whole COVID issue, right?
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's
hard.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you've been really, really busy. So I mean, you've got Fast 9, which is obviously just finished and it's out. You've got Star Wars stuff, but you've also got Snakehead, and this is a film that I haven't seen a lot about because I think it's quite a
Yeah.
niche. It looks quite like an independent niche film.
Yeah.
So Snakehead is a term for human trafficker. From what I've seen, the film it's dark, it's dirt, it's gritty, it's cutthroat, and it's already
Yeah.
received amazing reviews. But it hasn't been released yet to the public, as far as I know. I
Yeah.
think that's late October, isn't it?
Yes.
What
Right.
can you tell me about that and your character? Because you're playing a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, this project we did 4 years ago, so it's been a long
Oh
time, and
wow,
it's
was
been
it that
like
long
10.
ago?
Yeah, and it was when I was living in New York. We shot this, and I happened to be there shooting Power, so it all worked out. And Evan Leong, the director, and I've known each other for like 20 years. We met each other on Better Luck Tomorrow when he was still a student in college, and this is his first narrative feature. He did this documentary called Insanity prior, and he's just been looking for the story and building his tool chest, if you will, and so he created this film. He created this story about the snakehead character, or the snakehead world, right? And the film is really led by two female characters, and they're great actresses, Jade and Suya. And I play Rambo. I play the son of the matriarch, and there's a lot of complexity to the relationship with his mother, who is pretty much the kingpin of Chinatown and well respected and feared, and he lives in her shadows. And in every way, Snakehead is the true definition of an independent film. It took 4 years to finish, and I don't think we even had a budget. I don't remember what budget there was. Everyone did it out of passion. And, it's nice that finally it's coming out, and people are recognizing it, and they're seeing the effort that went into it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see a film like that find its audience or find its feet, and it's being shared finally, because it's so hard to make these movies.
Sure. Is it nice to go from something as big as the Fast and Furious and then go into this, go back to like an independent film? Is it a nice kind of, what are the differences between like, the whole filming process?
Well, the bigger budgets, you just have more resources and time to do exactly what you want to be doing on an indie film, right? Indie films, the luxury is you get more control, and there's less business to it because there's just less money. There's less people involved, all of it. And your currency is really passion. And so it's harder, but sometimes passion makes it all worthwhile, where sometimes with the bigger budgets, it becomes like a job, or there's so many people there that, people are clocking in and clocking out just to fulfill their piece in the machine, or if you will, right? And so, there's more of an intimate journey on the smaller films. Everybody on the crew and cast, you have to, because there's usually maybe 10 people anyway. So, so it's just it's a more intimate journey, but the processes of making a film is exactly the same. It's just limitations. It's like building a car, and then you being able to go to like the Nissan headquarters and going into their R&D garage and having every tool to your disposal, and have every technician that's a master of that particular tool. And then you can go to your, local, like, your town mechanic, and, he doesn't have all the tools, but he can still put a pretty cool car together, right? And sometimes it actually comes out better than what would come out of factory, because it was done out of love and passion. It took forever, right? But somehow he created a masterpiece. And so that's really like how you can compare the two, right? So, and neither are wrong, and both of them are as hard and difficult. So not one isn't, easier than the other. One might have better food, right? That's about it.
I mean, sometimes the best things come from, when you've actually got to think of how to do something. You got to think out of the box sometimes. And I feel like that's just a huge learning opportunity. I love it. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's really kind of like my kind of movie, like that kind of, just interesting, like interesting videography and great characters. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to Shakey Shivers. Tell us about that. This is your first directing debut, right?
Yes, very excited about this. We're editing now. It was a 15-day shoot. It's a horror comedy about two girls that live in a small town, and it's a morality tale about being kind to strangers who, at the end of the night, beg for food. And, if you treat people like assholes, what happens? They might curse you, and you might turn into a werewolf, right? So it's this combination of like Wayne's World meets American Werewolf in London meets Napoleon Dynamite and Office. I don't know if you know those films, but
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
small town story about these two best friends, and they're at a crossroads in their life where they could split up, or somehow because of this crisis, they become Wonder Twins and join forces, and they get out of it, and then it creates a stronger bond, right? And then they become comfortable with who they are, and
Mm.
they become comfortable in their skin, and proud of where they come from, opposed to trying to run away from the small town. And it's like every small town story, everybody wants to get out, but it's reversing it, going, well, what's so bad about it, right? Like, it's okay to be proud about where you come from. So it was just fun, and it's nice to laugh, and to be able to control and have input on the tone of the set, and treat people a certain way, where I've been taught by some of the best directors in the business that have given me so many tools to enhance and contribute to making the whole movie experience, this dream come true. That's why we're all here in this business, is to play pretend, and to fulfill this fantasy we had about being part of this Hollywood dream, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
got to do it, man, and I got to do that, and I got to, play with a bunch of strangers and create a wonderful experience. And I think we have a pretty good movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Movies are made in three parts. In the writing, and then the shooting of it, and then the third part is the editing, and
Mm.
that's where I'm at right now. So we're putting the movie together, and we'll start, putting the music and all the sound effects and special effects. But
Right.
yeah, so hopefully, by mid next year, it'll be, be able to be seen by the world. So I'm
Mid
super
next
excited
year.
about
Okay, great, cool. And what's it like being behind the camera compared to being in front? Did you? I mean, obviously, you have to use different skills and call from different experiences. But did you have to change? Like, did you change the side of bed you got out of? Is it completely?
it. Well,
What?
you're the first one up and the last one to leave. You have
Yeah.
you dictate literally everything that's happening. You dictate the tone of the day, the
Mm.
planning of the day. If you basically are, like a coach on a basketball or a football team,
Yeah.
um, and so you're connected to every single element, every single member of your team, every item that comes in, from the costumes to the props to the special effects. It goes past your eyes, like you touch it, your fingerprints are on everything. So you don't just come in and do your part and leave. Like, you never leave early.
Yeah.
And if you start slipping and you start getting tired, or your attitude changes,
Mm.
it's automatic. Like, the whole vibe changes. So it's amazing how you become kind of like the searchlight
Yeah.
of kind
Okay.
of moving everybody in a certain direction. If you stop, or you don't know where you're going, everyone gets lost. So it's empowering, but super scary,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
But then, in crisis, the best of you comes out, or the worst of you. And that's what, what's great about this experience, that the best version of me got to come out, but then also at times the worst version of me came out. And
Mm.
it's nice to see both, and then, not relish one, but then be able to go and work on the other. And just, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, Alex. Physically, it
Mm.
is the hardest thing, but sleep didn't matter anymore, because I was so excited to get up,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
living and breathing this thing. It's like, and finally, I felt like my whole life I was missing one shoe,
Right.
and I was, always a little off balance, right? And and in the director's chair, I feel like I have both feet on the ground. Like, I
Yeah.
know exactly why I'm doing it, where I'm going, and I love it. Like, I love every single moment of it. Like, even the problems I love, because they're
Mm.
problems that normal people never face. It's like the Bigfoot finger, we have a Bigfoot and the finger keeps bending too much, right? Like there's problems that nobody cares about, you know what I mean? Like, but we have to figure it out. And it's awesome when everybody comes together for some asinine idea that you have in your head and then it manifests somehow. It's pretty amazing to be part of that.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's a hugely, I can understand it being entirely hugely stressful, not only because you have to see this project from start to finish and make sure it's all as high quality as you want it to be, but also, you've then got to release it to the world. And, whether it's good or bad, I'm sure everyone is incredibly stressed about that. How do you cope with that kind of pressure?
Well, I'm affected by it, but then, I've been able to, rely on some tools that I've learned over time. And I step back and I go, well, what's important here now? Like, what is the stress coming from? And it's usually coming from fear or some type of ego related thing, right? Like the actual problem is, always resolvable, if minds get together and the attitude is right. And, the stress, becomes like all of a sudden turns into like insecurity, and the insecurity turns into blaming other people. So it's just a domino effect that's going to go nowhere, and it's just going to actually prevent the project. And you as a director have to have conviction in your choice, otherwise people get lost, like I said, right? And so I think what was your question? I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Is how you cope with just the
cope with the
stresses
stress. And so, you step back and you go, well, why am I here? And then that kind of settles me down. And if it was, if the why was not solid and that ethos didn't have conviction to it, I think stress would just be continuous. But then I step back and I go, so what's going on? It's like we're running out of time, or we might not get that, coverage, or that shot was just horrible, or something broke, or somebody's late, or this didn't show up, or this prop's not working, or whatever. And you step back and you go, all right, me stressing on this and me being emotional about it is not fixing the problem. It's actually making it worse, especially when it comes from me. And me not taking it seriously doesn't help either, but it's really going, everybody settle down. We're not curing cancer here. Remind yourself, we're not saving lives, we're entertaining. And step back and go, let's have fun. And let's have fun figuring out the problem. And then it just works, and that attitude has to come from the top. And it's kind of cool that you apply it because it's theoretical. You go, I think that'll work, and then you do it and it actually works, right? And everybody kind of relaxes because remember, it is a movie. And then when you step back, you go, yeah, it is just a movie about, two girls having, and werewolves. And at the end of the day, we can't take this so seriously, and we can't take ourselves so seriously, but we take the work seriously, and that's it, right? So.
Yeah, that's a good way to think. That's a very good way to think. Have you got any other projects that's like directing projects that you're thinking of starting?
Yeah. I have a few other projects that have been in the works, and I want to stick with, I would love to do comedy, but I also want to stick with car themed stories. So like I would love to blend like a Bullet, a Gone in 60 Seconds and a Drive movie.
Nice.
Like I think, and some Fast and Furious, right? Like we need that. Like I think there's something missing in cinema today and TV shows. Like like we don't have these shows that the cars are heroes anymore. Like what was the last film that you remember? Like, oh, the car was one of the main characters. I don't remember. I don't remember. Like you can't name. What was the last movie that had a car with a name in it, like Eleanor or Herbie, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Or Kit, right? Like where are these films, TV shows? That's what I want to do, right? And this community that I'm able to be a part of in LA, there's so many wonderful stories here, and cars, man, that people haven't seen, that people need to see, Alex. You know?
Yes. Oh, exciting. Okay, nice. Oh, that's great. So talking of cars, have you got time to just quickly go over what you've been doing this week, and specifically
Sure.
your new little black number? Tell the
Yeah. So
people about that.
we'll start with the new number. So this morning, uh, we went to go pick up a 84 Grand National to start the Kin Kudo. Kin is gold, and Kudo means half black, half Japanese.
Oh, okay.
And this is a 84 Grand National. We just got a roller, and it's been sitting for 19 years, and rust free. It's just a great candidate for a I guess a resto mod build, if you will, a new piece of art. So this King Kudo idea is to take, the G body or the Grand National and blend it. If a Grand National had a baby with a GTR, that's what we're creating, basically. That's what we're doing. That's essentially it. It's like if Buick Grand National had a baby with a new R35 powertrain GTR, the Kin Kudo would come out. It would be regal. It would be royal. It would just be a head turner. Some people are going to love it, and some people are going to hate it. But the ethos of it for me is twofold. Is that one, it's an opportunity to work with so many of my friends, the friends that are just into American, the American Iron stuff or the Grand National stuff. And then you got my JDM friends. It's to be able to bridge this gap and like collaborate together. And what a great platform, right?
Yeah.
And second, it represents something that is so important that we need in society today, is that, look, like it's a car that, that the theme of it is blending Asian and black together, right? Two things and blending a GTR and a Grand National together. It's like things that you go, huh? But for some reason they work, right? And it's like relationships, like, biracial relationships, right? It's like, that's really what we're mirroring. And it's like, what a great ethos to start with. And, that's something I could wake up to. And at the end of the day, come on, man, who doesn't love a Grand National? Who doesn't love a GTR, right? You mix these two, come on.
Two legends like come together.
Remember that car a couple of years ago that they had a Ferrari engine and like I think it was like
it was
Scion.
Right? It was Chris Forsberg's, wasn't it?
Was it his? Yeah.
No, it wasn't Chris Forsberg's. It was
Ryan
Turk.
Car,
Ryan Turk. Yeah,
the
GT.
Yeah, like that car.
Yeah, GT 4586. Really cool.
What is this car?
Yeah.
It's super cool, right? Super cool.
Yeah, really cool. Oh, I'm excited for that. I'm excited. And it's good because, your character has had a history of this. Well, not specifically your character, but, Tokyo Drift had we were saying a couple of days ago, it had the RB swapped Mustang. And like you said, people, some people maybe thought it was sacrilege, but I think a lot of people would look at that and go, that's something that's never been done before. Two, it's just cool. And it's for you, it's the whole learning experience, and the people working on it as well. Do you think they've ever put that engine into that car? I don't think so. I don't think
that engine has ever been swapped into another car, right? I haven't seen one. An R35.
It's rare. I've seen maybe some for like drift cars, but not into an American car. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it's always been maybe into like an R34 Skyline or something like that, but I've never seen it really go into like another family of cars. So that's really exciting.
And it's fitting because, it's a V6 turbo, right? The R35. And then is the Buick, right?
Yeah. So, it was one of the first of its kind, wasn't it? Because the fuel, was it a shortage or just the increasing price in fuel? All cars had to reduce increase their miles per gallon. And, they had to, and this is also when the Japanese cars became so popular as well, because they did have smaller engines and, they did actually start to sell in America. So, it's got so many meanings. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And do you know if the power is going to be sent to all four wheels or the rear wheels, or haven't you really thought about that yet?
Well, we would like to keep it all four wheels. That would be cool.
Really?
Right?
Oh, Oh, okay.
Wouldn't that be awesome? So, but
That would be.
that's a lot of engineering that we have to figure out. So,
Yes. Yeah.
you
Because
know,
it's actually quite a small car, isn't it? The
it
Grand
is a
National.
small car,
Yeah.
but a lot of room. Like, you gotta
Right.
remember it's a G body. It's an American car from the '80s. So
Yeah.
you could put a couple of bodies in the trunk, and you
Yeah.
could. I mean, the engine bay is very generous. It's
Yeah.
very American, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. Even if you put it connected to Fast, it's like,
Yeah.
if Han were to rebuild a Fast and Furious car, it would be this, because he would have got the car from Dom. There'd be
Yeah.
something wrong with the engine. And he's like, "Hey, I do RB26 swaps and Mustangs. Let me do a RB35 and this." It totally makes sense, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
yeah,
at the end of Tokyo Drift, Dom said that Han was into American Muscle when you were
that's
rolling
right.
with him. So, there's there's definitely a history there. I think that's such a great idea. Such a great idea.
So, and
Um,
then two other cars that are actually two cars that are going to be premiering pretty soon, Alex, are
yeah,
the two S30 240Zs. The early 71 Series 1, the Doxy, and then the 73 Fuguzi. So the Fuguzi, Kenji's pretty much done with the motor.
mm,
It's being resorted from NA to twin
twin
turbo.
turbo, yeah.
It's going to probably be at about 400 horsepower.
Okay,
So,
nice.
yeah, and it's just going to be this new version, this, like, second coming of the Fuguzi. And then the dock will be complete. And they're both premiering at JCCS on October 30th.
Yeah,
And then big news is, um, we got confirmation from Nissan that the Dock C will be at the Nissan booth in SEMA, with the 400Z. So that's a true
nice.
honor and a privilege, right? To
Yeah,
have one of your cars, a 240Z that, so many people are now in love with, to be able to be with the new one, right? So
yeah.
this is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge confirmation, isn't it, that what you're doing is along the right lines. Like
Yeah.
for the factory to be able to go, yeah, we want that alongside our factory cars. That's a huge compliment,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
rightly so. It's a great car. Just quickly, what were like the philosophies behind the cars? Because I know the Fuguzi was like this social media car that brought everyone together. Was it similar with Doxy?
Well, the Fuguzi's ethos was just, remember, the Fuguzi was, three friends getting together on the weekend
Yeah,
and to build something together, to hopefully build a track car. We didn't know what we're doing. And then Grady and Kenji came in, and
yeah,
they basically created what we see in front of us, right? And Kenji became the mentor, like the older brother that brought me into the whole, like, build world, and
yes,
basically, basically started educating me on, like, what I didn't know, right? So
yeah,
and so that was that ethos, and I felt like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know much about anything. I didn't know the history. I didn't know why I was doing this. And
mm,
then I went and became a student of Mr. Katayama and the whole history of the S30 and his history at Nissan.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and became a student of his like philosophy, right? And that's when I really became um a fan and fell in love with the 240, because it's a representation of who the man was. And
yeah,
if you guys have a chance to read his biographies, or there's books that really go into detail about
yeah,
the man behind the car, it's pretty amazing. So anyway,
yeah,
the S30 or the 240 became, to me, like, more precious because I started to learn about Mr. Katayama, and the idea of, like, mentorship kept coming into my head, and I was like, kind of throwing that energy out there, going, man, I wish I had, like, a mentor, like a real life Mr. Miyagi, that
yeah,
could, teach me not just the pragmatics of rebuilding a car, but the why behind it. Like, why do you have this passion behind this car? And fortunately, I got to meet Eric Aguilar, who became, basically my teacher. He's like my mentor.
mm,
And this guy, since the '80s, has been, like, resurrecting, 240s from junkyards when they were, like, worthless, because he
yeah.
loved these cars. And this guy can pull out a bolt and tell you where where that bolt comes from the S30. I mean, it's like a it's like some type of genius,
Yes.
in a garage watching this guy work, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like with him, we're creating a masterpiece, and a
Yeah.
masterpiece in the sense that there are many cars that will be better. It's not, I'm not saying we're better than any other, but it's a masterpiece in the sense that it's it's everything and all of the why of why Eric Aguilar loves this car, and
Mm.
and and the why and the respect for every element of this car that I've gained by studying Mr. Katayama, and to be able to create, if you will, like a like a statue.
Yeah.
It's like a modern statue that represents like the best of us, right? And friendship and mentorship,
Yeah.
and it's something that's going to live on, and the detail that goes into these things, right? It's like
Mm.
it's amazing, right? And the collaboration, it's again, like I feel blessed that I get to hang out with amazing people and learn so many things because of a car. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what Doc Z symbolizes. Doc being the doctor, being somebody that is like, is a mentor. I mean, the whole name comes from that. Is the history of the doc is it was bought by a father and son. The father is a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And they had this dream of like building a Z for the Baja 1000. It never happened. And the son moved to LA and brought the car out here, and it was just sitting. And then I found it on Facebook, and then got it from him. And then I love this whole story of like, oh, it was a father and son build, and in a way, like Eric became kind of that experience that I've always yearned for. It's like to be in a garage with like a father figure,
Mm.
and we were able to resurrect this car that basically just had little metal, and most of it was rust. So um,
A bit of a challenge.
yeah, but wait till
um,
wait till the I can't wait to share this car with the world and
yeah.
show how many of my friends that have this like love affair for the 240 have come together and created something that you know to me, every time I go into the car, I'm just like honored to be a part of it. I don't even
Yeah.
consider it my car. I just
Yeah.
feel like I'm creating a piece of art.